Why in Luffy's awakening does he have white smoke around him and the other awakened zones have black smoke? The answer to this is probably because Gear 5 is a pure white form, but it caught my attention long enough to notice some other inconsistencies with awakened zone users. Let's look at the 4 confirmed awakened zones we've seen in Egghead so far and some other characters who have questions brought up because of these 4. First, let's start with Luffy. He awakened his fruit at the end of the raid on Onigashima after literally dying. He has spent years training his rubber body without even knowing what his fruit really was. We have seen firsthand what Luffy has done to get here. The form depicts Luffy with Gear 4's signature white smoke shroud, and we really think nothing of it until we meet the next awakened user we're going to talk about. But first, I want to address Yamato and one reality that could make Yamato more consistent. Yamato has a white smoke shroud around them. We see this even before the Gear 5 reveal. However, Yamato is not a confirmed awakening. However, I want to note that Yamato does have that smoke in their full beast form, which would imply that it's just a part of their beast and not an awakening. But we haven't actually seen a confirmed awakened zone user in their full beast form. Now let's talk about Kaku and Lucci. Lucci is the first confirmed awakened zone we meet other than Luffy. He's a bloodthirsty master assassin, a loyal dog to the world government, and is able to bring out the full potential of his carnivorous zone. He features a black smoke shroud, different from Luffy's but not significant enough to spark any major questions. Kaku though raises a lot of questions. I find it really hard to believe that his mind and body have caught up to his fruit power. He got the fruit only 2 years ago, and while he does fully embrace his devil fruit power, I find it inconsistent that he was able to achieve this so quickly when we know characters like Marco and King who have been pushed before never showed any signs of an awakening. Why wasn't Kaido awakened during the raid on Onigashima? It just makes no sense that the King of Beast, the world's strongest creature, was awakened and did not use it. From what we know so far, it's almost a plot hole. Kaido's entire way of life and his dream was on the line. If there was ever a time to use that form, it would have been at the latest in response to Gear 5. If Kaido was holding back at all up to that point. So with that being said, I fully believe Kaido was not an awakened zone user, and if that's the case, how has Kaku managed to awaken his fruit in seemingly record time? The answer may lie with the reveal of Saint J. Garcia Saturn's true form. After appearing from a magic teleportation circle, we see seemingly our 4th awakened zone of the series and our 3rd with a black smoke shroud. However, it is not confirmed that Saturn even has a devil fruit power, as Oda conveniently left that info out. For something so rare, we now have potentially 8 more awakened zones since the start of this arc. With all of this laid out, I present my theory to connect the inconsistencies. Artificial zone awakenings. This is the idea that Lucci, Kaku, Saturn, and potentially the rest of the Gorosei are artificially awakened through either magical or scientific means. This is because a natural awakening is extremely hard to achieve through normal means, and that Luffy and potentially Yamato are naturally awakened zone users. There are a few ways to explain how this is possible and some coincidences that support this. A lot of this right now can just be explained away and is again almost pure speculation, but I think there is something of substance here. First, the idea of an artificial awakening would obviously bring into question what is a natural awakening. An awakening is described by Kaido as the mind and body catching up to the user's powers. Simple enough. Luffy clearly meets these conditions, but what about Yamato? Yamato has taken on the will of Kazuki Oden and has gone so far as to change themselves to become Kazuki Oden and do anything they must to protect the land of Wano and their people. This fully falls in line with the will of Yamato's devil fruit, the Inu Inu no Mi, model, Okuchi no Makami, having been described as the guardian deity of Wano. Yamato has most certainly caught up with their devil fruit in mind and surely is caught up in body as well. With this in mind, Yamato could be an unconfirmed naturally awakened Zoan user. Also, given that significantly powerful Zoan characters are not awakened, it may be the mind condition of Zoan awakenings that takes the longest to develop. We already know that if a user isn't careful, their fruit will absorb their mind and personality, rendering them mindless beasts, so awakening a Zoan power is not only difficult, it's risky. So what is an artificially awakened Zoan user? There are some hints to the characteristics we can discern, but again this is mostly speculation. First and most obvious is the black smoke around their bodies. It's a little different from Luffy's and Yamato's as it is almost drawn to look like fire. Also, it's the same deep black and look as the magic circle that Saturn came out of. What if one of the Gorozi's powers are to bring out the latent power of devil fruit users and trigger a forced awakening? Through the use of this power the form becomes corrupted and we get the black smoke we see around Lucci, Kaku, and Saturn. The last thing that really just pushes this theory forward is the fact that Luffy is the only awakened Zoan not a member of the Marines or world government. If artificial awakenings do exist, then whoever can do it is only doing it on CP9 agents and the Gorosei so far. Sabo described the empty throne room as a hell on earth, and through the events of 1094 we can start to see what he truly means. The Gorosei are going to have powers out of this world that completely break the rules of One Piece, and I believe there is evidence that the ability to artificially awaken a Zoan devil fruit is a definite possibility. The world government is artificially awakening Zoan abilities at the highest level and are using either similar magic to Saturn's teleport circle, a devil fruit power, or science. Luffy and potentially Yamato are naturally awakened Zoans, and a natural Zoan awakening is nearly impossible to achieve.